Welcome back, everybody. Today we are talking all about Terra Luna Classic. We have some crazy updates coming down the pipeline for both burning and staking, which are certainly going to have an effect on the price of Terra Luna Classic. So we're going to run through that. We'll do a little bit of chart analysis and talk about some headwinds and some risks coming for Terra Luna Classic here. Before we dive in, just really quick, wanted to make everyone aware that I do have a free chart pattern guide live and ready for any of my subscribers to take advantage of. So if this is something that looks like it could be helpful to you or of interest, feel free to drop your email in that link in the description below. So with that out of the way, let's hop right in. The first major update is this. I would call it a semi-rumor, I guess, because I haven't heard like KuCoin or necessarily additional people outside of Vegas come out and say this. But essentially what we're hearing via the Terra Luna Classic Discord is that MEXC, KuCoin, and Binance are now contacting and working with Vegas, who is one of the operating managers behind Terra Luna Classic, and how the burn's going and circulating supply, all that good stuff, working with validators as well. He is saying that Vegas and Ed spoke to KuCoin about explaining intentions, and that they're contacting Vegas on how to implement the 1.2% tax burn of Terra Luna Classic. Now, why is that so important? Let's break it down really quickly. So looking at the markets for Terra Luna Classic, it's going to be pretty clear right away, right? So first off, number one exchange right now that Terra Luna Classic is trading on is Binance. We're seeing about 18 million, 19 million worth of volume every day, about 15 and a half, 16% of what all of Terra Luna Classic trading volume is. So to see a 1.2% burn tax implemented on Binance would be huge for mitigating the crazy, 6.9 trillion circulating supply that Luna Classic has, right? So the whole goal right now is to burn to get to a reasonable circulating supply level so we can see somewhat of a nice price action. And then also you're going to see MEXC down here, only doing something around 275,000 a day. If we add in maybe this one as well, we can call it, 320, 330 in terms of the amount of volume per day they're doing of Luna Classic. Still notable, nothing like 18, 19 million, right, on Binance, but still very notable. So I definitely want to make sure that, folks are aware that we could have that 1.2% burn coming to Binance and other exchanges, which would be huge for the burn rates, overall burn rate, and the time that it takes to get down to a reasonable supply level for Terra Luna Classic. Now, the next piece I want to take a look at is a model looking at the current burn rate of 1.2%, what that would look like over the course of time, over the course of a year or two. And this is basically breaking it down based on total supply and circulating supply. And now this doesn't necessarily factor in, a lot of what could come in additional staking incentives. It says it does, but right now it's really hard to predict what that's going to look like, right? We're going to look at another model that might come a little bit closer in a second, but this is more so just talking about the burn rates that we've been seeing. And right now, previous data is showing 1.2% tax on that burn rate equals about 500 billion tokens burned per month. And again, that means that every 2 months we are getting a trillion burned, and we're at 6.9-ish, 6.8 trillion worth of Luna Classic token out there in the total supply. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if this can keep up. If this does keep up, we're going to see a lot of interesting price action in Terra Luna Classic. Now, the next thing that I want to show is the potential effect on staking, right? So on August 26th, I want you guys to remember this date, August 26th, super important. Number 4095 will be voted on and potentially re-enabled here with staking and delegation. So what we could see in terms of percentage of the percentage of the circulating supply that could be staked, whether that's 10% here, imaged by this gray line, or 20% imaged by this yellow line, we could see a serious impact on the total circulating supply. So this orange line is essentially what we saw on that previous graphic right here. But now we're looking at, okay, well, what if, 10% of the supply was staked or 20% of the circulating supply was staked? What would that do immediately on August 26th, right? And so some people are saying, hey, 30 to 40% of all Terra Luna Classic holders could actually stake the coin, which would be incredible in terms of mitigating a lot of that circulating supply without even having to burn any tokens, right? So this is on top of that 1.2% burn tax rate that we could be seeing coming in for MEXC, KuCoin, and Binance, right? And that's another good point on KuCoin, right? If we're able to see 1.2% tax implemented on 2.63 million of volume every day, KuCoin, Binance, and MEXC combined, we're talking about 25-ish million, maybe a little bit less than that, 21 million of volume every day being applied to that 1.2% burn tax. So really exciting stuff there. But going back to this, you can see clearly on August 26th, if we were to see, let's say 20% of the total circulating supply staked on that day, we're going to see an immediate drop from the 6.9, 6.8 trillion down to about 5.1 trillion, which would be pretty incredible in terms of the rate to go back to that level of circulating supply, right? That would take months to do just off that 1.2% burn tax rate. So this is why staking and August 26th is such an important date for Terra Luna Classic and its future, specifically on its price action as well. Now, as we get into price action, I'm going to be honest, there is not too much we can do in terms of chart analysis on Terra Luna Classic, being how new it is, how much volatility there is, and how unique of a token is with how crazy the circulating supply is. So I don't really necessarily want to bog you guys down with any sort of, pretending like I can really analyze this chart like a normal, equity or a normal crypto. But what I will say is what's been super impressive is we've been able to hold this support like nobody's business. It has been so easy for Terra Luna Classic to hold this support level. And we've seen incredible consolidation from July 11th to today. So we've seen only an average fluctuation of about 17-15% within this window, not counting the wicks. So that's really incredible, guys. I can't stress that enough, because with how volatile this crypto tended to be and tends to be, and then also with the issues of circulating supply, all this kind of unknown circulating in the background, it's incredible to see that it's been able to hold the support and consolidate like this. Now, in a lot of other cryptos, when you see a solid level of consolidation, whether it be for a month, 2 months, not 9 times out of 10, but more often than not, you're going to see some sort of a bounce off the support and maybe a run to the upside. So you're seeing a lot of speculation on Twitter specifically of saying, hey, maybe August 26th is our catalyst date if everyone's watching it in terms of potential stakers or people just watching to see what stakers do. That August 26th mark could be really important in terms of Luna Classic's ability to break out of this kind of consolidation window and start moving back to the upside pretty aggressively. Now, given how much the circulating supply is and how little people hold it, which we'll get into right now, it would take a little bit for this to pump, and that's why I think staking could be quite a significant catalyst for that to happen. But definitely keep your eyes out on August 26th. Now, we've been pretty bullish most of this video, but we're going to dive into just some of the risks, at least one of the biggest risks I'm seeing from the Luna Classic side in terms of its future, in terms of its ability to get a solid pump, to avoid a complete collapse, this kind of stuff, right? What I will note is looking on Etherscan. Now, this is the wrap Luna Classic token, right? So it's not necessarily Luna Classic itself, but this is how people are swapping for Luna Classic, right? You have to go on Uniswap and swap for wrapped Luna token from Ethereum, right? So one of the biggest things that I noticed as I was going through here, yes, this is a great bullish sign. We've seen the number of holders go up by 54%. Just in the last little bit here, and it's been really impressive to see the growth of holders, right? We started out below 30,000 and now we're up close to 70,000. The one thing that as you scroll down here that becomes a little bit concerning is the concentration of wealth and the concentration of the circulating supply of Luna Classic that's within just a few wallets. So if you look at here, just within 2 wallets, and these are necessarily not known, if someone knows these, drop a comment and let the viewers know. But from my understanding, these are unidentified holders right now. And then obviously you're going to see Binance, KuCoin, Poloniex, Gemini, Uniswap v3, you know, some of the more general pools that you would expect to have a large supply of Luna Classic. But there are only 4 or 5 pools or wallets that are actually holding more than 1% of the supply. Now, why that's concerning to have, you know, 45 to 70%, you know, 45 to 60% of the supply locked up within just a few different wallets and pools. What's concerning about that is that if one of them just decides to say, hey, you know what, we got that 100% pump, we got that 50% pump, whatever their selling point is, if they just decide to unload a half of their bag, even a quarter, even, you know, a 10th or a 20th of their bag, what you're going to see is heavy impact on the price. And the problem with that is that it affects all these people you're going to see down here. You know, people like me and you that, you know, maybe are holding just a small fraction of what these big whales are holding. But I'm seeing a lot of potential for whale manipulation in the future of Luna Classic. So I think as we eventually, you know, hopefully pump to the upside with Luna Classic, I would be very wary and monitor whales wallets if possible, because this is going to be a major concern moving forward. If any of these whales decide to unload at an opportune time when we get a serious pump, you're going to see it basically even out and fluctuate and come back down from whatever it pumped to as these folks liquidate. So that's definitely something that I would say is a big concern on my side, and what I see as one of the big risks for Luna Classic. Obviously, having the burns and staking go smoothly, that's another thing that's not guaranteed, but it's all moving in the right direction. I would say from a risk side, this is kind of what I'm looking at, what I'm paying attention to, is obviously no crypto is without risk, but I think that, you know, things are moving in the right direction for Luna Classic. Again, I would stress, you guys got to remember, this was Do Kwon, this was Terra Luna. Nothing is really guaranteed. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't bet the farm on Terra Luna Classic, but there's obviously a lot of room for upside. And so that's why there's been a lot of interest around this project. And I see why, you know, there's been a lot of movement in terms of their ability to provide value to the community and the way that the community is growing. So that's what I have for you guys today. Hopefully that was helpful. Let me know your thoughts on Terra Luna Classic. Would love to hear some feedback in the comments. It's a very polarizing project, so I'm excited to see what you guys think. But thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.